sky. For generations, it has been a symbol of human ambition and progress, a place where technology and trust intersect. Every day, millions board airplanes believing they will reach their destinations without fear, without hesitation. But on some days, the quiet hum of a routine flight becomes the opening line of a tragedy, a moment where nature, machinery, and fate collide, and the result is remembered forever. It was supposed to be just another flight, a routine trip on a mid-range commercial jet that had flown this route many times before. The aircraft had a clean maintenance record. Every inspection had been passed, every system cleared for operation. This model was known for its reliability and its strong safety record. For the passengers looking out of the windows, it was just an ordinary airplane on an ordinary day. No one had any reason to believe that this flight would be any different. The flight was commanded by a highly experienced captain. With 17 years in the skies and more than 9,000 flight hours, he was known for his calm discipline and precise decision-making. Passengers who saw him often felt reassured before the journey even began. At his side sat the first officer, younger but exceptionally skilled. He was respected for his attention to detail, his quick thinking, and his commitment to safety procedures. Together, they formed a crew that most travelers would trust without a second thought. A team prepared for any situation the sky could offer, or so it seemed. At 18:03, the tower cleared Flight 187 for takeoff. The engines roared to life, pushing the aircraft forward with incredible force. Passengers felt the familiar pressure against their backs as the jet accelerated down the runway. Within seconds, the wheels lifted off the ground and the airplane climbed into the evening sky. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual. It looked like a perfectly ordinary departure. Just another flight, beginning its journey. But above the horizon, something was waiting. A weather system forming faster than anyone expected. A storm that would soon challenge everything the crew had prepared for. As the aircraft continued climbing through 12,000 feet, the first indication of trouble appeared on the radar. A massive storm cell was forming ahead, larger and stronger than the forecasts had suggested. Air traffic control recommended a slight course adjustment. But the storm was growing faster than anyone expected, and Flight 187 was already entering its outer edge. The sky darkened almost instantly. Lightning flickered through the clouds, illuminating the cabin in brief flashes of white. Turbulence began to shake the airplane, subtle at first, then stronger. Passengers exchanged worried looks. Some tightened their seatbelts, but in the cockpit, the pressure was building. A warning light began to flash, signaling that something inside the aircraft wasn't right. Then a new alarm echoed through the cockpit. Engine 2, overheating. Temperatures were rising far beyond acceptable limits. Something was wrong deep inside the machinery, something the crew could not yet see. The captain reduced thrust, hoping to stabilize the readings. But the warning lights only grew brighter, and the storm outside was beginning to push the aircraft harder. Within minutes, the situation worsened. Engine 2 began to lose power, slowly at first, then rapidly. The controls vibrated. The aircraft yawed gently to the right, a clear sign that one engine was no longer producing enough thrust. The first officer ran through the emergency checklist, his voice steady but tense. Engine 2, failing. The storm outside roared. Lightning cracked across the sky as the aircraft struggled to maintain altitude. A twin-engine jet can fly on one engine, but not easily, and certainly not in a storm this violent. Inside the cockpit, the atmosphere shifted from concern to urgency. The captain attempted to stabilize the aircraft on the remaining engine, but turbulence made every correction more difficult. Their voices remained calm, but their eyes told the truth. They were no longer flying a routine passenger jet. They were fighting to keep a damaged aircraft in the air, inside one of the most unpredictable storms they had ever faced. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere changed quickly. What began as mild turbulence soon intensified into violent shaking. Luggage rattled in the overhead bins, drinks spilled, passengers gripped their armrests as the aircraft jolted in the storm. Some tried to remain calm, others whispered prayers, and a few began sending messages to their loved ones. The cabin crew moved quickly, doing everything they could to maintain order. They checked seat belts, reassured frightened passengers, and tried to keep the aisles clear despite the intense shaking. Their voices remained steady, but the fear in their eyes revealed the truth. This was no ordinary turbulence. As lightning flashed outside the windows, the cabin lights flickered again and again. Passengers tightened their seat belts as another violent jolt shook the plane. Mothers held their children close. Strangers reached for each other's hands. In that moment, the entire cabin shared the same overwhelming thought. Is this the end? Inside the cockpit, a new alarm sounded. The aircraft was beginning to lose altitude, slowly at first, then more rapidly. The captain attempted to stabilize the jet, but with one engine gone and the storm pushing against them, every correction felt heavier and less effective. The aircraft descended into the thickest part of the storm. Wind shear battered the wings. The remaining engine strained to keep altitude. In the cabin, passengers felt the sudden drop, a sinking feeling in their stomachs as the airplane shuddered violently. The crew's calm voices continued, but beneath every word was the unspoken truth. They were fighting a losing battle. The captain attempted one final maneuver, a turn meant to escape the worst of the storm. But the weather was too strong. The aircraft continued to descend, the altimeter ticking downward, warning after warning filling the cockpit. In those final minutes, the pilots fought with everything they had: skill, experience, instinct. But nature had already claimed control. The aircraft continued to descend, lower and lower, until the terrain warning system began to scream inside the cockpit. Terrain, terrain, pull up. But there was nothing left to pull. The storm, the failing engine, the loss of control, everything had pushed the airplane beyond recovery. And as lightning shattered the sky outside, Flight 187 approached the final seconds of its journey. At 1942, the radar signal vanished. For a moment, the storm-covered mountains fell silent. No alarms, no radio calls, no lights piercing through the clouds. only silence and the beginning of a search that would last for days. Despite the brutal storm, search teams were mobilized immediately. Helicopters fought against the wind, scanning the mountains with powerful spotlights. On the ground, rescue units climbed steep terrain, guided only by GPS coordinates and fading radio signals. For hours, there was no sign of Flight 187, only darkness and rain. As dawn approached, the storm began to weaken. Search teams pushed deeper into the mountains, determined to find any trace of the missing aircraft. The first light of morning revealed a harsh reality. Debris scattered across the valley, silent and motionless beneath the gray sky. But for the rescue teams, the mission was far from over. The discovery marked the end of the search, but only the beginning of the investigation. Teams continued to work tirelessly, recovering evidence that would help piece together the final moments of Flight 187. A tragedy had unfolded, and the world wanted answers. The discovery of the wreckage marked the beginning of a long and complex investigation. Teams from multiple aviation authorities arrived on site, collecting evidence and securing every fragment of the aircraft. The black boxes, the flight data recorder, and cockpit voice recorder were recovered within the first 24 hours, and inside them lay the answers the world had been waiting for. The data revealed a sequence of events that unfolded rapidly. Severe weather, engine stress, and loss of control had combined to push the aircraft into an unrecoverable situation. Investigators found that Engine 2 had begun overheating nearly 3 minutes before the aircraft lost altitude. And the cockpit recordings confirmed that the crew fought until the very last seconds to regain control of the jet. Months later, the final report was released. The primary cause of the accident was listed as a combination of extreme weather conditions, mechanical failure, and the unavoidable challenges faced by the crew. The report recommended new international guidelines for weather detection, engine monitoring, and emergency pilot training. Lessons learned from Flight 187 would shape the future of aviation safety. The tragedy of Flight 187 left a deep impact on the world of aviation. Families mourned, communities grieved, and the industry began asking difficult questions. But from the heartbreak came determination, a commitment to ensure that such an event would never happen again. In the years that followed, new regulations were introduced. Weather detection systems were upgraded, engine monitoring technology improved, and emergency procedures for severe storms were rewritten from the ground up. The lessons learned from Flight 187 reshaped international aviation standards. The crew of Flight 187 was praised for their bravery, their professionalism, and their relentless effort to save every life on board. Their actions became part of pilot training programs worldwide, ensuring future aviators would learn from their courage. Every flight carries more than passengers. It carries hopes, dreams, families, and futures. The story of Flight 187 reminds us how fragile life can be and how powerful human resilience truly is. From the dedication of the crew, to the courage of the rescue teams, to the investigators who uncovered the truth, every moment shaped the legacy of this tragedy. Today, the lessons learned from Flight 187 help protect millions of passengers around the world. New technology, new procedures, and new safety standards stand as a tribute to everyone affected by that day. And though the sky can be unpredictable, it remains a place where humanity continues to rise, stronger and more prepared than ever. This was the story of Flight 187, a reminder of loss, a legacy of change, and a tribute to every life touched by the sky.